The goal for this lesson is to understand correlations between two categorical variables. Actually, we're going to do two or even more than two. So when we do categorical variables, one of the ways we can display our data is to use a frequency table. If we just have two variables, then we can do a two-way frequency table. In this example is going to a shopping center and asking people if they prefer, asking males and females if they prefer AFL or soccer. And based on your data, you can fill in this two-way table like I did here. Few things that you need to double check after you fill it out is to see if your numbers add up for females, for males, 23, 23. But otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. And when we fill this out, we want to make sure the EV is up top and RV is over here. And we can obviously convert these numbers into percentages and have a percentages two-way table. I won't go through how to convert them into percentages again. We've done it many times by now. Now, looking at it, using percentages a lot more useful because then we can see if there's a correlation that's present. Now, generally speaking, or in almost all cases, if we have differences that is less than 5%, greater than 5%, then there is some sort of correlation that is present. So in this example, around 53% of females say they prefer AFL, and 52 for male, 47 for soccer, 48-ish for male. As you can see, there's very little difference, definitely less than 5%. So we can assume that there's no correlation that is present in this survey that was just done. So this question asks you if there's an association between AFL soccer and gender, preference in AFL soccer and gender, and asking you to write a brief response. So you should add something along the lines of does not appear. So we're saying that it's not definite. We don't know for sure. This data is pretty small. We're only asking about 30%. So we don't know for sure if there is, but just based on the data, it does not appear that there is an association. And then the other thing that you really want to put in your response is your data. So first you sort of write about if there's an association or correlation between them, and then you just want to back it up with why that is the case. And in this case, it's because the percentages are too similar between the two. Now we can do exactly the same, and when we have multiple categories. So looking at this example here, now we have many categories here in this table. This is to do with if people have smoked or they smoked in the past or never smoked, and the level of education. So smoking status and level of education. And for each one, there are multiple categories. For level of education, there's all of these, and for smoking as well. And as you can see, this is all put together into a percentages table. And this is what we see. So from here, right away, we know, because we're given this table, we know that EV has to be up here always. So education level is the EV, and this is the RV, which is the smoking status. So the best way to display this type of data when we have multiple categories is using a segmented bar chart, which we looked at briefly in our last topic. So a few things to be careful of here is obviously having some gaps between the bars, because it's a bar chart. Making sure that you have your scaling correctly, so every step is like 10%, or in your case could be 20, 15, depending on the data. And you're labeling all of your bars, and also you'll have a key as well. So if you have different colors, great, you can use different colors, or other ways of doing it would be using sort of different style of shading. So you can shade one part like this and the other part sort of like that, or you could shade it like the other way. And then as long as you label it in your key to represent which one's what, it should be fine just using one color. And again, EV goes on the x-axis. That's always the case, whether it's a graph or a bar chart. And then finally, we can analyze this data and see if there is a correlation between these things, and just looking at it using a segmented bar chart compared to this table. It's much more visual, but easier to see. I think that there's a pattern here. So if we go this way, we're going up in level of education, and as we go up in level of education, you can see the percentage of smokers go down, or you can see the percentage of people who never smoked goes up. So, and it goes up pretty significantly, like from here, which was around 35%, goes down to like less than 20% over here. So then you can write a brief response, something similar to what I have here. So you again write there appears to be, so you never want to be definite, because nothing is ever perfect. So appears to be association between your variables. And then again, you want to back it up with data. So say when they graduated only year 9, this many are smokers, but it goes down or goes up depending on your data when you go up to university. So, and then come to a conclusion at the end saying that what the association or the correlation is in this case.